You know that feeling when you're staring down an English exam paper, you hit the pronunciation section, and suddenly you feel like you're just guessing? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going hunting. Specifically, we're hunting for what I like to call the 2 free points on your English exam. Now, pronunciation rules can seem totally random, but I promise you, they actually follow strict patterns. And by the end of our time together, we're going to use the writing and tables right here on screen to build a visual cheat sheet. We're going to lock these rules into your brain and absolutely guarantee you those points.
Okay, let's jump right in and build our mental filing cabinet. We're breaking this down into 4 logical modules today. Final S secrets, the final ED suffix, diphthongs decoded, and finally, tricky silent letters. Giving these invisible sounds a rigid visual structure is for sure the best way to master them.
So let's kick things off with Module 1, Final S Secrets.
Have you ever noticed that adding an S to the end of a word just unpredictably changes its sound? Sometimes it's a really sharp S, sometimes it sounds like a ziz, and sometimes it literally adds a whole extra syllable. It drives learners crazy. But the thing is, it's not random at all. It's entirely dependent on the letter that comes right before it. Now, what's really cool about laying this out on a table is how it visualizes those invisible phonetic shifts. Look at that first column. If a written word ends with a P, K, T, F, or th, the S makes a sharp S sound, like cats. Now, the middle column. If the word ends in a hissing sound like ch, j, s, x, sh, or z, we actually add an entire syllable, is. Just listen to the difference. Matches, boxes. And that third column? Well, that's our default. For literally all the rest of the letters, especially vowels and voiced consonants, the S becomes this buzzing Z sound, like in plays or bags.
To make this even easier to remember on test day, we're going to use the written words to our advantage with a brilliant mnemonic, change 6 shoes. Actually say it out loud with me. Change 6 shoes. The starting sounds of those written words, ch, s, sh, those are your primary triggers for that tricky is sound. If you can just remember change 6 shoes, you instantly know when to add that extra syllable. And for the sharp S sound, just remember the unvoiced cluster PKTFS. Lock those letters right into your mind.
Moving right along to Module 2, the final ed suffix.
We just totally conquered the final S. And you know what? The structural logic for past tense verbs is incredibly similar. That's why we're using another table to break it down. Let's deliberately slow down here and articulate these columns. When the written ED comes after the letters P, K, TH, S, F, or sh, it transforms into a really sharp, quick T sound. Listen to it. Packed, washed. But moving over to the middle column, and this is absolutely crucial, if the original word already ends in a T or a D, you have to add the id sound, wanted, needed. I mean, think about it, you literally can't say want to, so the language just forces that id sound. For everything else, it's a soft D sound, like played.
And just like before, we have a catchy phrase to completely empower you, pack, chase, fish. The ending sounds of these written words are P, K, ch, S, and sh. If you spot one of those written letters right before the ED, you know with 100% certainty that the ending sounds like a sharp T. Pack, chase, fish is literally your golden ticket for that column. All right, halfway there. Module 3, diphthongs decoded.
So, we've mastered the endings. Now let's dive into the middle of words. Now, I know the word diphthong sounds super academic and honestly kind of intimidating, but it is simply a moving vowel sound. It's just a combination of 2 consecutive sounds blended together. You start your mouth in one position and slide it over to another. You aren't just making one flat noise. Your voice is literally traveling.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real challenge of English, doesn't it? Multiple, completely different spellings for the exact same moving sound. Over on the left, we have the I sound, right? Like when you stub your toe and say I. You can write it with an I, like in like, a Y, like in my, an IE in tie, or even UI in buy. It looks like total chaos written down, but they all make the exact same I sound. Now on the right, we have the A sound, like the word day. Whether it's written as A in stay, AI in sail, or EA in break, the sound remains exactly the same, A. Seeing the writing grouped by sound in a comparison like this rather than by spelling is an absolute game changer.
But come on, English wouldn't be English without a massive trap just waiting for you. Notice this huge exception right here, the word height. It is written EI, which usually gives us the A sound, right? Like an 8 or weight. But in the word height, it completely breaks the rule and borrows the I sound from the left side of our previous examples. You need to memorize this word visually. Examiners absolutely love to put height on the test just to trick you. Do not let them.
Now, before we hit our final module, I want you to really stop and think about this for a second. Why on earth do we have silent letters? I mean, it seems like a massive waste of ink when you write them down, right? Well, historically, many of these letters actually were pronounced hundreds of years ago. The spoken language evolved and changed, but the written language, it stayed frozen right in time.
Which brings us perfectly to Module 4, Tricky Silent Letters. Because these letters are literally invisible to the ear, we absolutely have to rely on visual written patterns. Let's start with the beginnings of words. K plus N equals a silent K. Whenever you see a K written out, followed immediately by an N at the start of a word, just cross that K out in your mind. No, night, knife. You don't walk around saying knau, right? You just say now. That N completely overpowers the K. And the exact same visual logic applies here. W plus R equals a silent W. If a written word starts with WR, that W is totally silent. Right, wrong, rap. And hey, keep an eye out for a few extra tricky written words that hide a silent W, like answer and the number 2. If you visualize the spelling in your head, you won't stumble over the sound.
Now, what about the middle of words? This is a really sneaky pattern. When you see ST or STL tucked right in the middle of a written word, that T is usually completely silent. Take the word listen. It clearly has a T right there in the middle of the writing, but we don't say listen, we say listen. The exact same goes for castle, whistle, and fasten. That written T is just a ghost. Notice how beautifully these ending combinations contrast when we lay them out side by side. When the letter M is at the end of a written word and brings a friend, things change. On the left, if M is followed by B, the B is silent. Bomb, climb, comb. The M is the dominant sound. Now, on the right, if M is followed by N, the N goes silent. Autumn, dam. In both of these visual structures, that powerful M completely silences the consonant that comes right after it.
Let's wrap up our silent letters with these last 2 really vital points. First, the silent L. The L loves to just disappear when it follows a written A or an O. Think of salmon, walk, half, or even those common helping verbs like could and should. The L is purely decorative. Second, the silent H. It almost always vanishes in question words, what, when, why, and in specific time words like honest and hour.
Wow, okay, we've covered the final S, the final ED, the diphthongs, and the silent letters. By relying on the tables and written structures we've looked at today, you have literally transformed invisible sounds into a concrete, usable tool. You've got the knowledge you need. So are you ready to claim those free points in your exam? The next time you read a tricky English word, I want to leave you with this thought. What history is that spelling hiding from you? Keep looking for those patterns, and I will see you in the next explainer.
All right, listen up. If you are an Algerian middle schooler taking the BEM English exam in exactly 4 days, drop whatever you're doing right now and focus. Seriously, welcome to this Emergency Survival Guide Explainer. We're your English teachers, and we're teaming up today to hand you a massive 100% legal cheat code. We're targeting the absolute hardest part of your exam, Part 2, the situation of integration, also known as the written expression. We're going to show you how to lock in guaranteed points on this exam before you even write a single real English sentence. So let's get right to work. Let's talk about the number 1.5. You might be wondering, what's so special about that? Well, in your grading rubric for the situation of integration, up to 1.5 points are awarded purely for the format of your answer.
Exactly! Not your grammar, not your spelling, not your vocabulary. Just the physical shape of your writing. Even if your English is completely broken under the stress of the exam, you can literally steal these 1.5 free points simply by drawing the correct layout on your paper. No joke!
So, are you absolutely panicking about the written expression right now? Terrified of staring at a blank page, suddenly forgetting every vocabulary word you've ever learned?
We get it, but let's reframe that fear instantly. Look, a blank page gets 0 points, but a page with just the right shape, the correct empty boxes, headers, and signatures, that gets you on the scoreboard immediately.
Hit the nail on the head. You don't have to be some advanced English speaker to draw a box and write the word title. You just have to be strategic.
And this whole concept really comes to life when you look at the evidence. I want you to treat the 2022 BEM past exam like it's security footage we're analyzing.
Right, follow that blue arrow. The exam literally hands you the blueprint. The prompt asks you to write a short article and tells you exactly what to do with it. Share it on that webpage.
Boom. Done. The exam just told you exactly what shape you need to draw. It's not some trick question. The answer is hiding right there in plain sight. Now, you might be thinking, well, maybe 2022 was just a lucky fluke, right? Well, fast forward to the 2024 exam.
The pattern completely continues. The instruction clearly tells you to write a short article to be posted on your school blog. Identifying the required shape isn't a guess. It is a repeatable, bulletproof strategy.
Every single year, without fail, the prompt gives you the exact clue you need to unlock those format points. You just got to know what you're looking for. So here is the absolute most crucial mindset shift. We need you to burn this phrase into your brain. Ready? Don't write, draw the shape first. Before you even think about stringing an English sentence together, before you start stressing over past tenses or adjectives, you've got to view this writing section as a visual puzzle. Treat it exactly like a coloring book. You draw the heavy black outlines first, and only then do you worry about coloring in the content. To pull off this hack, you really only need to know the 8 structural layouts that exist in the entire BEM universe. Here's your rapid-fire hit list.
Number 1, the web article.
Number 2,
The blog article.
3, the press article.
4, an email. 5, an informal letter. 6, a formal letter.
7, an interview.
And finally, 8.
The classic essay. Memorizing these 8 empty frames is your ultimate survival guide. If you have these shapes locked in your head, you are completely immune to freezing up when you open that exam booklet.
Now just think about how completely different a web or blog article looks compared to a letter or an email. I mean, you can spot the difference from a mile away. Articles are very blocky, highly focused on getting a title at the top and a source at the bottom. Exactly. While your emails and letters have very specific, structured openings and closings. You have to recognize these matching shapes. They are literally just visual templates that you can trace out onto your answer sheet.
Let's break down those mechanical, visual differences so you know exactly which empty boxes to draw. If the exam clue screams email, your shape absolutely must include the words to, from, and subject at the top left. It needs a dear greeting and a sign-off like best regards down at the very bottom. But what if the clue says web or blog article? The shape is a whole different ballgame. It requires a big title at the absolute top and a source or posted by section with a date right at the bottom. The grader is specifically scanning your paper for these exact visual markers. Real quick, let's cover the final 2 shapes from our source materials, layouts 7 and 8. An interview looks exactly like a script for a play or a movie. You literally just draw alternating speaker names. You write journalist, draw a line, then guest, draw a line. It's just a vertical list of back and forth dialogue.
And an essay, on the other hand, is your standard traditional format. You put the title of the essay right at the top, followed by distinct, indented paragraphs for your introduction, body, and conclusion. Super straightforward.
So let's summarize this entire heist. The format hack is simply the act of matching the exam prompt's requested text type directly to one of these 8 memorized visual structures. By doing this, you are literally guaranteeing yourself points before you write a single drop of real content. It is a definitive, repeatable action that you can master tonight just by grabbing a blank piece of paper and practicing drawing shapes. All right, here is your bulletproof 4-step attack plan for exactly what you must do the second you open that BEAM exam booklet in 4 days. Step 1, read the prompt, scanning it like a laser specifically for the shape clue. You're looking for words like blog, email, or letter.
Step 2, match that clue to one of the 8 layouts in your mind.
Step 3, draw the layout, draw the boxes, write the dummy titles, put in the fake signatures.
And step 4, collect your 1.5 free points. Then, and only then, do you take a deep breath, relax, and start filling in the English words.
You have exactly 4 days left until the exam. That is plenty of time to lock down this strategy. The power to secure these points is completely in your hands.
So, our final question to you is, which shape are you going to memorize tonight? Are you going to start by sketching out the email format, or will you master the web article layout?
Seriously, don't wait. Grab a pen right now, draw these empty shapes until they're permanently burned into your memory, and go steal those points.
You've got this. Best of luck on your exam.